all protocols observed. And I come and I will speak to you with, yes, my brain is lost and damaged after that grueling conference. Let me just take you back. It started with the Cancun climate change conference. That was COP16. It actually started before that, but at that COP in Cancun, it was agreed that a work program was needed to strengthen the cooperation and expertise in the area of slow onset events and loss and damage. During that year, up until we met in Bangkok in November, what we had were work programs throughout different regions in the world. There was one for the Caribbean, which was held in Barbados, and that's where all the SIDS, the small island developing states for this region, as well as the Pacific, came across to the Caribbean, and we decided what our text was going to look like, what we were going to take to Qatar. And in that text, what we decided was that we wanted to have in there an international mechanism. We wanted the convention to recognize that loss and damage needed to be set apart by itself, that it could not be consumed or included into the different areas like the Nairobi Work Program or the Adaptation Committee. This needed to be a standalone. The issue was so important and so critical that it had to be by itself. Of course, the Annex 1 countries did not wish to really go that route, so they came with their option, which was to continue to discuss it for one more year. And we were adamant that we had had enough of talking and that we wanted this work program and an international mechanism established. So that was what, basically in a nutshell, this negotiation was about. There was one critical area, which was in loss and damage, which I'm sure you've all read about, which was the concept of compensation. And that was one of the sticking points that even within EOSIS, there was a little bit of, whether or not we should go with compensation or not, and the Pacific Islands really wanted to, but we got over that because as a group we had to present a unified front. The other proposal that the Caribbean islands put forth was that of rehabilitation as opposed to compensation, because rehabilitation is in essence a form of compensation, but there's no culpability or liability, but you're still getting the funds to rehabilitate whatever the impact is. So we went along with that and we negotiated, and Minister Pickersgill came, was briefed on loss and damage, and I have to say, not because it's my minister, but he took it and he ran with it. And in every one of the bilaterals that we had, he raised it. And in one of the meetings with the COP president, which is only for I think they only opened it to 8 people, the Grenadian Minister of Environment raised one on, I think it was KP, and I was very proud that my minister raised the issue to the COP president on loss and damage. So I think bringing it to that level also helped to highlight the fact that EOSIS, small island states, especially like Jamaica, we're not letting go of loss and damage. We want it recognized as an international mechanism under the convention. This also happened in 2 radio interviews, which I actually heard back from people afterwards about the interview that minister did. And again, he mentioned loss and damage. So it became very obvious that this was a serious issue for Jamaica, especially. So not just EOSIS and small island developing states, but Jamaica had considered this a critical issue. This went on, and then at 4:30 in the morning, on the Saturday morning, yes, after the COP had pretty much come to a close, we heard that the Annex 1 countries would consider discussing an international mechanism. Jamaica did an intervention at that point in time, stating that the potential of industries crashing from things like acidification and sea temperature increase, and made an appeal that it was to look beyond the actual text that we were developing and consider the lives behind it. And at 6:30, after sleeping, yes, on a chair, the Annex 1 came back the European Union and Norway actually were the first ones to then say they would support an international mechanism at the next COP. And then Australia and New Zealand came on board, and then the US, which was good. I do have a copy of the draft text here where you can see the different options that were put forward by both the Annex 1 and by us as AOSIS. So they acknowledge that at COP19, that's in Warsaw, an international mechanism will be established. So we got that. They took out the term compensation and they have used rehabilitation. During the year though, leading up to COP19 in Warsaw, they have required that we do a detailed work program because it still wasn't too clear what this international mechanism would constitute. What are the modalities? How would it function? Who's going to fund it? So during this year, it's going to be a critical year leading up to COP19 because we don't want to get there and then hear, oh, you really haven't come up with anything new, so therefore, you know, we want to change up. So Jamaica has put forth now the request to host the first workshop meeting. It's about 50 people, 50 experts, and I haven't yet even told Minister, and I'm not sure if I told the PS. He's looking at me with one eye. But I've gotten unofficial confirmation that even the EU and Norway will fund that workshop, and it would be here in Kingston. So that's good. So basically, the work program will look at 4 particular areas. One is the modalities and mechanism and functions of the mechanism. 2, looking at expert data on slow onset events. 3, non-economic losses, and 4, financing. To just say that this has been one huge bite out of a huge elephant, but it is a start in the right direction in dealing with something that is, the magnitude of the problem is huge, and I will use the word that I know Dr. Douglas and Minister love to use. It's an epochal issue. And it's creeping, especially slow onset events. It is creeping, and I consider it the silent killer of climate change. So, before I end though, I just want to say a very special thanks to Cliff Malong, who I thought when I was leaving at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm going out to the bus stop, and I see Cliff out there waiting also. So, and then Nicolette also, I have to say thanks, because when I really thought my brain was getting lost and damaged, I would get these little text messages from her like, you can do it, you know, keep going, and Colonel Khan for those early morning phone calls after coming in at 4 a.m. and Jeff, who would always pop by the meetings before he left to check to see if, you know, I was okay. So that's you're talking 2 o'clock in the morning, and I really appreciated that, and it was really great working with the guys and the lady. So thanks very much.